Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, as always, joined by my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. And Dan, how you doing today, buddy? How was your Christmas?
My Christmas is good. Got a couple of nice gifts. A couple of nice little throwbacks. Some stuff that was missing in my that I haven't got a chance to get a hold of yet in my some stuff in my NASCAR collection. Some Mets stuff. Even a couple of Bandmate albums that are imported from Japan. But as you know, I'm a fan of Bandmate. And of course, the only problem with that is that I gotta import their albums. I gotta buy them from overseas, so that's gonna take a while. But they're on their way.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I'm happy to hear you had a nice Christmas. I did as well. Had a just a nice quiet time with the family and everything. Time away from work. Time just to relax and focus on other things. Obviously. My sports weekend started off a little bit early, as on Thursday, I had my New York Jets take the field against, a good up-and-coming team right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't know, Dan, did you have a chance to catch much of that game? Because, if you're rooting for the Jets in that game, there wasn't really much to watch.
I usually with those Amazon games, I'll have to go. I don't have a subscription to Amazon, so I've either had to buy an Amazon subscription for a small amount of time, or done with some shows that I like that when a new season comes out, I've done it, or I've had to go someplace to someone that has Amazon. Which, by the way, I know the bar I go to, they actually do have. They do show the games that are on Amazon, but I do want to say, how was the lag on that? Because I've been hearing so far I haven't seen the Giants play a game on the Amazon, a Thursday night game yet. How has the lag been working on the Amazon? Has it been like a lot of lag?
Well, to be honest, I've watched it few and far between before the Jets were on this week, and didn't really notice too much. There was a little bit early on this season where you could tell it was a little crappy. The connection wasn't really that good. Maybe it was on my end, who knows? But actually, I have to compliment them. This game on Thursday was crystal clear, and unfortunately for me, because to be honest, with as crappy as the Jets played, I really wish it was a much worse connection, because I really didn't need to see my team go out and crap the bed the way they did in that 19-3 loss, their home finale of the season. Just a terrible, terrible loss. Zach Wilson looked absolutely awful. What do you think about Zach Wilson, man? Do you think that this is the end of him in New York?
Zach Wilson looks like a long line of Jets quarterback busts. I mean, I don't know who's had a longer line of quarterback busted in the history of the NFL. The New York Jets or the Cleveland Browns? Because I got some friends in Cleveland who will always talk about their quarterback bust. I don't know who's had a larger line of quarterback busts.
Yeah, those are definitely two teams that are not good at drafting first-round quarterbacks. You got that right. And right now it looks like the Jets took another swing and a miss. They drafted Sam Darnold, third overall. They traded up from the 6th spot to get to number 3 with the Colts. They end up, making the pick for Sam Darnold back then. Things got off to a quick start when they beat the Lions, his first career game, 48-17 on Monday Night Football. Didn't work out after that. Sam Darnold gets shipped out for a 2nd and 4th round draft pick. He goes down to Carolina, where he had a really bad year last year, but he's actually showed a lot of life this year. I got to give a little credit to Sam Darnold. So at least he showed a little bit this year. On the other hand, Zach Wilson, the Jets went out, picked him second overall last year. Uh, has had trouble staying on the field at times. He's been very injury prone, and then twice this season now has been benched for bad play. As a matter of fact, the Jets benched him shortly after halftime. And to be honest, Zach Wilson was so terrible in the first half of this game, and the crowd was booing him. Look, I'm a Jets fan. I've seen the crowd cheering for the backup quarterback and wanting the backup quarterback to come in, but the hostility and the booing of Zach Wilson, I've never seen anything like that. And to be completely honest, it was totally deserved. That's one more thing I did want to bring up before we moved on here. I don't really get a chance to listen to the Jets post game and everything like that afterward. On the radio much, especially the last couple of years because they stunk and I haven't wanted to listen to it. But I just so happened to be in the car after this Jets loss, and I was stewing after it. So I wanted to listen to it. I wanted to hear people reflect the anger that I was feeling that night. And I heard, Marty Lyons, former Jets defensive player, and Greg Buttle, former Jets linebacker, also defensive player. Those guys, two who were very, very good Jet players in their time, crapping all over the Jets crowd for booing Zach Wilson. What do you expect them to do? These people sat in that god-awful weather and watched worse offensive play call, worse quarterback play. The guy was all over the place all night. The crowd had every right to boo the crap out of Zach Wilson and anybody else they wanted that night. And Greg Buttle and Marty Lyons are going to come on after and try and tell me that, the Jet fans are in the wrong for booing Zach Wilson. He needs more time. Look, they might be right about the fact that Zach Wilson needs more time, but I'm sorry. That time can't be here. The Jets can't waste any more time on this guy. And he looks shot. Even, I don't know if you noticed, Steve Young last year and earlier this year came out and said that he likes Zach Wilson and sees a lot of potential in Zach Wilson. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, he walked that comment back. So even Steve Young is taking back things he said about Zach Wilson. And look, the guy might be done here. And I don't want to hear that it's the Jets fans' fault for not having patience and everything like that. Jet fans shouldn't have patience. We've had to watch a decade of this crap, and we're sick of it. We want to make the playoffs, which, by the way, I'm sorry for going off on a rant here, Dan, but I had a lot to get off my chest with this Jets, as you can tell.
Is in New York.
And the one more thing, I don't know if you had seen this too, but everything broke the Jets' way on Christmas weekend, which obviously we'll get to your Giants in a minute because your Giants had a tough Christmas Eve, but the rest of the schedule broke out the Jets' way because the Patriots ended up losing a game that I didn't think that they had any chance of losing, especially in the last 5 minutes. It looked like the Patriots had that game locked up about 3 different times and they lost. Then you end up having the Dolphins lose that game and the Raiders lose their game. So those 3 things all went the Jets' way, and that's exactly what the Jets needed. So everything is right in front of this team right now. Mike White missed the last 2 games due to injury. Zach Wilson's going to be back in the riding the bench. Mike White has been cleared. He's going to be starting on Sunday. All the Jets have to do, and I know I say all, but it's still kind of in the Jets' hands, is the Jets have to win on Sunday, and then they will be alive no matter what for week 18. If they win and they beat Geno Smith, which, how funny it comes down to, like you mentioned before, Dan, one of these other failed Jets quarterbacks. He's not a first-round pick. He was a second-round pick. But another failed Jet quarterback, Geno Smith, stands in the way of the Jets being relevant on week 18, as the Jets have to win in Seattle. And then no matter what happens in that Patriots game, the Jets have to beat the Dolphins in week 18 and hope that the Patriots also lose, either this week or next week. As long as the Patriots lose one game and the Jets win both, the Jets will be in. And what do you think, Dan? It sounds like a long shot, but the Jets actually path to the playoffs really isn't that complicated.
Yeah, I say about the 45% chance it ends in the Jets' favor. Because these days, of course, I mean it's hit or miss whether New England's good or not. Because I mean, let's face it, this isn't the same. This isn't the same era of the New England Patriots that during the days of. I mean, Belichick's still around, coach, but it's not the same days as like Brady when like
Yep.
it'd be like a tall order back then. So
No doubt about it, man.
a 45% chance that it ends in a Jets' favor.
I think that you're right on there, actually. I I totally agree with you, actually, as a matter of fact. Because, anything can happen. And 45%, it's a little bit less than 50 because you still have to have a couple of things break down in your favor. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think 45 is a good marker for the Jets where the odds are a little bit against you, but you still have a pretty good shot. So definitely agree with you on that, man. And then hey, we'll talk to your G-men now, your New York Football Giants, as they continue to make this march to the playoffs, man. Just like my Jets are trying to do. Your Giants unfortunately went out and dropped a really, really tough game. They dropped to 8-6-1 now. And I think that tie is really going to come back and help the Giants. As right now, 8-6-1, and they lost to a really good Minnesota Vikings team. And not to mention, there was a couple of things that went in the Giants' favor. They go, that look good for them. Saquon Barkley goes out there and has a pretty good game, including scoring that tying touchdown. And the 2-point and everything. So the Giants went out there and got that job done to tie that game. It's just unfortunate that, obviously the Viking kicker Joseph goes out there and drills a 61-yard field goal to lose on. That's a heartbreaking way to lose. I know you were watching it on Christmas Eve, man. What was your immediate reaction to that Giant game and the heartbreaking loss?
Well, for one thing, it began. I'm in my living room Christmas Eve. Had the whole day planned out. Like I'm watching the game, sitting there with Mr. Maloon again, and I have to say, I think I was shocked how that game ended. Mr. Maloonigan may have been shocked, like he may have been looking at me weird, like, upset because I did not think that nobody's gonna get this like 60 some yard field goal. We got this in the bag. We're gonna get another possession. Overtime, we win this in overtime. Didn't work out that way. Last minute, I was just shocked. Like at least that part of Christmas Eve didn't go so great. The rest of Christmas went great, but that was like I was like, what the? That was like shocker. On the other, I mean, but we could have wrapped up the season if we won there. The regular season, I mean, made the playoffs that way, but I went. But now goes into next week. I feel we're in good shape. I feel like my Giants got this. Winning and we're in, and I'm gonna be. Hopefully, I'll be celebrating like crazy on Sunday afternoon on New Year's.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, and this is what it all comes down to. The Giants have a chance to clinch. It's against the Commanders, right?
That's against the Colts.
Oh, the Colts. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what I meant, actually. Okay, yeah. So they're playing the Colts.
It's been a few years since I've been able to be in this position as a Giants fan that my team can actually make the play go being one win away from making the playoffs. So
Exactly.
one.
Exactly, man. It's big. It'll be the first time since 2016 that the Giants would be making the playoffs. And, obviously if everything breaks down. Look, the Giants, you can say that the Giants have needed some help here and there, whatever. But right now, the Giants have their destiny in their own hands, and their best players are playing the best. I mean, look, Daniel Jones did have that interception, but Daniel Jones had a pretty good game for the Giants. I mean, especially in a game where Daniel Jones dropped back 40 times. He was 30 for 44, over 300 yards, threw a touchdown, moved the ball well, looked like a competent quarterback. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 84 yards, had that big touchdown. You know, it just goes to show that, and he also contributed receiving too, and eight catches, 50 yards, whatever it ended up being. He still was a productive member, of this offense. Any way you used him, and that's what they need out of Saquon. We talked about it the previous couple of weeks where it looked like he was slowing down a little bit. That wasn't the case in this game. He had that spring in his step, and you just hope that they bring it against this Colts team. And hey, the Colts are a team that have nothing to play for. They're playing for Jeff Saturday. Obviously, look, and I'm not one of these guys that want to take a crap on Jeff Saturday like everybody did when the Colts first hired him, but the Giants definitely have the edge in coaching in this upcoming game. Brian Daboll is a hell of a coach and has done a hell of a job with this Giants team. So you have to figure that one way or another, not only on the talent side, but on the coaching side, the Giants definitely have the edge in this game, and everything should be in their favor to lock up this playoff spot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and Dan, looking back on this Giants season, what is the most, give me your two things, all right? What is the thing that surprised you least about this Giants team? And what is the thing that surprised you the most about this Giants team?
Well, one of the things that didn't surprise me so much is that the turnaround from this team. I knew, like, with the fact that, of course, the GM we hired was a no nonsense GM, was going to get this done. Other thing, Coach Daboll, I knew this guy had plenty of credibility, and he was going to get this team, and going to hold this team together, and he's done that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man.
The thing that surprised me, we're in a position one win away from the playoffs.
That's true. That's true, because coming into this season, we both said that this is a building block year for the Giants. We both predicted, I think it was somewhere around 7 wins for the Giants. We thought that they'd be in the mix, but not necessarily on the inside of the playoffs. Well, they exceeded our expectations, and they exceeded everybody else's expectations, because we were even more optimistic than Vegas, and all the betting lines and everything. Most people had the Giants at about 6 wins. We were saying around 7, maybe even 8, and the Giants are already at 8, and they still have 2 games left to play. So the Giants have a real shot at a 10-win season, or even if it comes down to it, and the Giants end up, let's say they split these final games but make the playoffs, you end up 9-7-1 with where the Giants have been over the last few years. That's a hell of an improvement. And you have just got to be optimistic with what you see from the Giants, and same thing on my side from the Jets. I mean, hey, look, they were 4-13 last year. They've turned it around this season. They're 7-8 right now, and they're in a position where if they win their last 2 games, they're in. So, and with a little help of the Patriots losing a game. But as long as the Jets win these next 2, they're in. And hey, that makes me happy. And hey, your Giants have a chance to go out and lock a playoff spot up on Sunday. So you know what, Dan? Let's put our money where our mouth is as we wrap up this football talk real quick here. Do you think the Giants go out and lock this up on Sunday against Indianapolis?
I am very confident. Literally, I feel like this is a 95% chance it's happening Sunday.
Wow. Well, and you know what? I agree with you. I think the Giants go out and get it done, and get the win against the Colts and lock up their first playoff spot in about 6 years. So That'd be great. And you know what? I also think I have good vibes. I don't know why. The Jets have lost 4 games in a row. They've looked like crap at times, especially in this most recent game. I feel like, especially with Mike White back and the way that the Seattle Seahawks have played lately, don't forget, they've also lost 3 straight games now. I think the Jets go out and win. Call me crazy. I think the Jets win in Seattle to keep their playoff hopes alive and stay alive for Week 18. What do you think about that, Dan?
I kind of think the same thing.
What percentage would you put it at?
I put that at least a 45% chance.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So still not quite 50.
All order. I mean, you got to still hope that New England loses.
True, but I'm not saying for the playoffs though. I'm just saying if the Jets win this game on Sunday, what do you think the percentage for that is?
Oh, then the win on Sunday, I'd say about not about an 85% chance the Jets win this game.
85. I'll take it. I like it, and I agree. I might not be as confident because I'm a Jets fan, and believe me, I've been abused by this team before. I might be feeling more like 65%, but I'm confident. I think the Jets are going to win, and hey, I'm feeling good. You know what though? When you get to this time of year, it always comes to top 10 lists and everything like that. You see the top moments of the year. You see,
and exactly, and luckily, I got a top 10 list here from the direct printed from the same place that a legendary talk show host got his from the offices in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's tonight's top 10.
You have compiled your top 10 list. I've also compiled a top 10 list. And let's see how our lists match up.
First, I'll have to go with number 10. It's what I call a moment crisis averted. If you remember, going into the 2022 baseball season, we were in a situation where I feared I was going to be either a delayed baseball season or not sure if there was even going to be a season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought, like, what the heck am I going to be watching during the summer? Am I just going to be wanting to just maybe just get my, well, I figured I'd get my baseball fix going to minor league games and probably watching Japanese and Korean baseball like during the lockdown. Remember when the season started late? ESPN kept showing a lot of Korean baseball games. You remember that, right?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yep. And then number 9.
Well, hold on. Let's just put that out. So number 10, you have crisis averted. That's the Major League Baseball's lockout being ended, right?
Yep.
All right. Now number 9.
Number 9 would have to be, I feel like a moment that really jumped my head off. Rangers making a playoffs.
That's right. Rangers clinch a playoff spot.
And this is the Mercedes-Benz Rangers postgame show, and X marks the spot in the postseason. In a season of instant memories and increasing magic, the Rangers get their just reward tonight. Step 1, joining the field of 16 in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 5 years.
Yep, exactly. And of course, number 8, I would have to say that exciting home opener blowout.
And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Citi Field. It's great to be back in Flushing, and what a day this has already been. That incredible statue of Tom Seaver has been unveiled on the plaza.
The Mets have now hit 3 home runs. Lindor toward the left field corner. Back goes Peralta. Back there the wall. It's out of here. Lindor homers from both sides of the plate. 10-1 New York. Back to back for Marte and Lindor.
First time I felt like on a season I was able to be at a home opener in a few years, because I remember the opening day 2020 didn't happen, of course, no fans. 2021 to reduce capacity, so led to delays whether I could get a hold of a ticket and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The ticket prices and stuff like this. So there's that one. Number 7. Who does this guy think he is?
Who does this guy think he is?
I'm Keith Hernandez.
It would be Keith Hernandez's number being retired. Long overdue, by the way.
Good call. Good call. I like that one. I left that off. Forgot about it.
I am absolutely humble and proud that my number will be up in the rafters for eternity, along with Casey, Gil, Tom, Mike, and Jerry. 60 years of New York Mets.
I titled that one with the Seinfeld reference to the Seinfeld episode, right?
I love it.
7. Number 6. The Rocky Balboa style comeback. Mets pulled off that come from behind win against Philly. Gotta love that moment.
Now, which one did you have on the list? Did you have the one in May or the one in August?
I had the one in May.
Okay.
0 for his last 18. And he drives one to deep right center field. Forget that. That is way out of here. That's the way to break a slump. Francisco Lindor with a monstrous 2-run homer. His 5th home run of the season to cut the Philly lead to 7-3. Alonso at third, McNeil at first. And Canna hits one back to the pitcher. It banks off him. He recovers, makes the throw, not in time. Alonso is in. It's 7-4, and the Mets will get the tying run to bat in the 9th. Now behind on Davis, 2-0. And JD rips one down the line. That's an extra base hit. McNeil will score. Canna to third. He'll be held up there. It's an RBI double for J.D. Davis. It's 7-5, and the tying runs are in scoring position. And Brandon gets the curve and lines into the center field. A base hit. In is Canna. Here's Jankowski. He scores, and the Mets have tied it. Brandon Nimmo with a 2-run single. The Mets have scored 6 times in the top of the 9th to tie this game at 7-7. And Starling unloads one deep left center. Back to the warning track goes Herrera near the wall. It's off the base. Here's Nimmo around third. He'll come in to score, and the Mets take the lead. Unbelievable! Starling Marte with his 3rd consecutive hit drives in the go-ahead run with a double, and the Mets with 7 runs in the 9th lead it 8-7. That was just such an unbelievable comeback. Plus that, just the fact that plus the fact I was at the very next game, the game after that, and it was just a satisfying moment hearing Philly fans talk about a horrible ending to a game that normally us Met fans would be victim of.
You're right about that.
Us on the winning end of that, because that was really like hearing them right as I'm on a train to the ballpark, and I'm hearing some fans like still upset about it, and yeah, we did that. We did that.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yep. Number 6. Number 5. I have to go with that at Rangers overtime when first round Ante Panarin, a goal against the bread man against Pittsburgh.
Moves in. He shoots. He scores. He scores. Rangers win.
I want
that was Yeah.
I was like, I cannot tell you how ecstatic I was after that win. That was just unbelievable.
That was an incredible win, man. No doubt about it. Coming back from 3-1 down, winning in overtime, Panarin, and that was May 15th, 2022, first round.
Yep. And what number am I up to?
You are up to number 4 now.
All right, number 4. All right, number 4, combined no hitter.
And now the Phillies are down to their final strike. Combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history. Edwin Diaz puts on the finishing touches, striking out the side of the 9th inning, and the Mets celebrate their second ever no-hitter, started by Tylor Megill, finished by Edwin Diaz, as the Mets no-hit the Phillies.
Absolutely. April 29th, 2022. Combined no-hitter, 3-0 win against the Phillies.
Yep, that was number 2. I have to. But what am I up to? Number 3, right?
Yeah, number 3. Yep.
Number 3. I have to say this one was exciting. Sound the trumpets. The Mets that game that game against the Dodgers, the Edwin Diaz.
I remember that game. Yeah, the 2-1 win against the Dodgers. You're right.
For that catch Nimmo made.
Yeah, and then Timmy Trumpet playing in Edwin Diaz.
Yep, Safefield was rocking.
And now Timmy Trumpet takes center stage as Edwin Diaz gets ready to come in looking for a save.
Me and my little sis were at that game. I'm at City Field was rocking. I still sometimes right now during this winter when I miss being at baseball games, can't wait for opening day. I was looking at that video on my phone.
Very cool.
Number 2, I have to say it's another big one. The Rangers overcoming the little deficit in the series, beating the Carolina Hurricanes.
Coming back, taking out Carolina in Game 7.
For Gerard Gallant, who had one of the worst moments of his coaching career in this building back in 2016. He was fired by the Florida owner on the telephone after a loss here in November. Video and pictures all over the place of him getting into a taxi while the Panthers were flying off to their next game. He'll leave here tonight with one of his career highlights and a big smile on his face. The New York Rangers on their way to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yep, that was just I was of course excited. I was like jumping up and down on my block. I had to walk outside because where I live, I can see Manhattan. There's little areas in my neighborhood where I can see Manhattan. Really great views of the building, right? So I had to just take a look at that Empire State Building lit up in Rangers colors.
Oh yeah, the best.
I just had to take a look at that. Also, and the drum roll, please. My number one moment, that related of 2022, the Mets making the playoffs for the first time since 2016.
That's right.
Not Edwin Diaz with the lead beyond what a save situation could be. So Ottavino will try to get the final 3 outs that the Mets need.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. For the first time since 2016, the 2022 New York Mets will be going to the postseason. The 10th postseason berth in franchise history. And along the way, Max Scherzer picks up his 200th victory with 6 perfect innings as the Mets win their 94th game in 2022.
It's not often as a Met fan, I get to experiencing playoff baseball, and I could say I'm at a Met game in October. It happened. Fortunately, didn't end. Fortunately, the whole thing didn't end how we thought, but just the thought that feat, it happened.
Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah, they had that was September 19th, 2022. Mets clinched the playoff spot, first time since 2016. So I mean, at that point, obviously they were still in first place. It looked pretty good. They ended up slipping to the wild card the last weekend in the season, but still made the playoffs and still a very big accomplishment, Dan. So definitely like your top 10 list. Pretty thorough. I like it. I'm surprised though I'm surprised that none of the Giants moments this year made your list.
Well, that's still up for debate how our season turns out.
True. Okay, fair enough. Man.
And I have to say, and plus their season hasn't ended to really give a moment yet.
Very true.
But I also have to give an honorable mention to. He's not going to stop. He won't stop. He's living up to the hype. Steve Cohen flexing that ownership muscle and doing what it takes for them to hopefully get this Mets a championship.
There we go, man. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's that's definitely worth a mention right there. And yeah, now that we got Dan's list out of the way, let me just throw mine down real quick. As obviously me and Dan root for two of our favorite teams are right. The Mets and the Rangers. So a lot of those moments are going to overlap, no doubt about it. My list does start off though with the Mets at number 10, the Mets signing Justin Verlander.
What it came down to for me was wanting to be part of this vision moving forward. And obviously this organization took a gigantic step forward last year. They had a great season. And I think it's only going to continue in the right direction. Like Billy said, one of the follow-up questions was obviously losing a few big pieces. How do you plan on filling those voids? And the answers were tremendous. And I took a leap of faith. And here we are a few weeks later, and I think that leap of faith has paid off. And obviously the surrounding cast, the players that this organization has brought in, are nothing short of incredible, and I cannot wait to be part of something amazing and hopefully be a small piece of making that vision that Billy and Steve and Alex have for this organization, which is to be a championship caliber ball club and hopefully win it all.
December 7th, 2022. I know you had it on, Stevie Cohen flexing his financial muscle as your honorable mention, but hey, Justin Verlander, I feel like him being the replacement, and part of the reason, and we'll get into a little bit more of the Mets and Correa talk in a minute after we're done with the lists. But, Correa could have been this too, but that deal's not official yet. So I was giving the nod to Justin Verlander just because he's the replacement for DeGrom. And I feel like if the Mets didn't sign Justin Verlander, that this offseason, no matter what the Mets did, probably wouldn't have been enough because you wouldn't have had those two aces at the top of the rotation. You know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. And speaking of our aces, this might sound a bit crazy, but if a Senga ever pitches a no-hitter, don't be surprised if you see me tweeting this tweet, and I'm sticking to my word. You will see a tweet with me saying you might, and if I'm at the stadium, if this happens and I'm present when it happens, I'll be typing into Twitter, "Gonichiwa bitches."
All right. Well,
Classic.
We'll definitely have that one saved in your Twitter drafts.
Remember that Dave Chappelle sketch, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a little nutted up, but I will actually be saying that if Senga ever pitches a no-hitter.
Very cool. All right. Let's continue with this crap. But you know what? For me, number 9, I have the Jets beating the Packers in Lambeau, 27-10, October 16th, 2022, the day after my birthday.
3rd and 9, Green Bay. They're just on the brink of field goal range. Pressure. Rodgers sacked again. Oh, the Jets are getting heavy pressure. Sheldon Rank. Carter in the backfield and a fake. Zach Wilson has a lot of time. He's got a man wide open. It's Davis, and he's got it down into the 20. Oh, trickery. Berrios on the reverse. Gets a great block. Braxton Berrios with the speed, and he is in for the touchdown. Robert Saleh told us, I'm not putting him in this world, but he sees the game like Richard Sherman. About as high praise you can get. Rodgers in trouble again, and he's sacked again by Quinnen Williams. What a beast, number 95 for the Jets. Another block punt. This time the Jets have it with a chance to run in the end zone, and they're going to score. Will Parks runs it in. Little trap play inside, and a beauty. Hall running free. Breece Hall inside the 10. He's going to score. Touchdown, Jets. Oh, he's got his signature win of his young head coaching career. 27-10, the Jets with the upset win here at Lambeau over the Packers.
It was a pretty good birthday present because that was awesome, man. I was so, I had a good feeling about the Jets going into that game, but I feel like that was the game. It was on Fox. There was a lot of people watching that game. It had, one of Fox's top teams with Kevin Burkhardt doing the game. What's that?
And when in the frozen tundras of Lambeau Field.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the game that made people take the Jets seriously this year,
Never mind that impression of the NFL Films announcer. It's just Lambeau Field will always mention of Lambeau Field will always remind me of those NFL highlight films.
Yeah, of course. It's because it's that legendary field. It's that legendary Lambeau Field, the ghosts of, championships past. And that's why it was so important for the Jets to go in there this year and get that victory. And it doesn't happen. The last time the Jets won in Lambeau before that was 2006. So it had been a long time, man. And when the Jets win in Lambeau, usually that means good things are following for the Jets because it's few and far between.
Yep. Plus, you got to mention that thing about Lambeau Field. I said the voice I was doing an impression of. Can't forget those iconic highlight films, and that I forgot the name of that announcer who would always do those films, but that voice.
Of course, that's the iconic NFL Films voice. You are completely right about that, my friend. And I'm sure you remember this day very well. March 21st, 2022 is what I have as my number 8 moment this year, because while you did mention a couple of Rangers moments, you did leave this one out. I chose it as my number 8, the Chris Drury trade deadline day. That's what I'm calling it, Chris Drury trade deadline day.
Andrew Kopp, Tyler Mott, Justin Braun, those are the type of guys that you need when you're going to make a long playoff run. They didn't have to mortgage any of their future, didn't give up first-round picks. We've seen the way this team is built through the draft. And so these guys give them a much higher probability of making a deeper playoff run. And we know that they can make a deep playoff run because of the play of Igor Shesterkin, who's the best goalie in the world right now.
Because he did everything right that day, getting Andrew Kopp, Tyler Mott, and Justin Braun from, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and Philadelphia. All three of those guys played a major, major role in the Rangers championship. Well, I guess it wasn't a championship run, but run to the Eastern Conference Finals against the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. So, hey, that day, March 21st, 2022, will always mean a lot in Rangers history, because I think that was the day that team was solidified and ready for a playoff run, right?
Yep, there was just something in the air that the moment that happened.
Yeah, exactly, man. You just tell that this team wasn't messing around anymore. And to be honest, even with all that stuff, they really didn't give up, a lot during that time. So Drury was able to keep a lot of assets and keep Rangers flexible for the future. To keep moving on, number 7, the Jets' first round in the 2022 NFL draft. That's what I have right now as my number 7, April 28th, 2022. They picked Sauce Gardner 4th overall. They picked Garrett Wilson 10th overall. And they picked Jermaine Johnson, I believe it was 27th overall. What else do I need to say? Any Jets moment that I mentioned, I already mentioned the win in Lambeau. Any other moment I mentioned is because of that day. Just like how Chris Drury set up the Rangers for success. Well, Joe Douglas and the Jets front office set up the Jets for success on April 28th, 2022, when the Jets had one of the more impactful first-round drafts that they've had in a long time. You could say 2006. You could say 2000 when they had all those extra picks from trading Keyshawn. But this was a transformative first round for the New York Jets. No doubt about it. One other thing, the number 6 moment I have is another moment I'm sure you'll remember, Dan. Chris Kreider scoring his 50th goal this season. It was in a loss, unfortunately, to Carolina, 4-2.
Stahl had an empty net goal in the game on Sunday against Anaheim. Fox moving, shooting, a deflection, and they score! It's Chris Kreider! It's number 50! You called it. Take a moment, take a breath, and watch it.
Yeah, Rangers win the faceoff. Fox gets the puck through.
But Kreider went out there and scored his 50th goal. It was so awesome to see a Ranger score 50, the first time we'd seen it since Jaromir Jagr in 2006, and only the second time that I've seen it in my life, the time before Jagr being Adam Graves in 94. So, you got to have fun memories about watching you score that 50th goal, right, Dan?
You're talking about Chris Kreider. Yeah, that was fortunately that game didn't turn out how we thought, but still a good moment for Chris Kreider. And and proved that there's just something magical about being born on April 30th.
Very true. You and Kreider sharing a birth date.
Yep.
Yeah, so very cool, man. The April 30th, baby, getting it done right there. Continuing on, I got number 5, the Jets beating the Bills 2017. I'm hoping that's not the last Jet win this year.
Trying to give the Jets the lead. Zerline. He hits 20-17. New York digs the intended receiver. Allen grabbing at his right arm with 33 seconds on the clock.
And he gets at it.
Allen, after that last throw, he was grabbing at the right arm.
I do think that's the result of the play with Huff. It's one play later.
Remember, the Jets traded pass rusher Jacob Martin to Denver this week in a pick swap because they had faith in the other guys.
Rush there, drop everywhere else.
4th and 21. Allen running around. Jets try to stick with him. Allen tosses, deep ball on the way, incomplete. Game Wade Davis the intended target, and the Jets will win it. A shocking victory. Sauce Gardner doing snow angels as he continues to make a name for himself in the NFL. 20-17.
Although, right, it very well could be with the way they've been playing lately. But hey, a 2017 win against the Bills. The Jets struggled so mightily getting the monkey off their back the last few years, beating a team in their own division. They did it earlier with, when they blew the Dolphins out, which I kind of wasn't sure. I was debating between putting that win on or this win. I came to this win because the Bills could be the best team in the AFC, and the Jets could be 2-0 against them if it wasn't for some bad luck and some injuries and crappy play by the quarterbacks. So definitely big win 2017 for the Jets on November 8th, 2022. For me, I have number 4 as the Mets no-hitter being that moment. Maybe a little low, but my top 3 I'll have to do with the playoffs. So that's how you know where my brain went. I love the no-hitter, no doubt about it, but playoffs are still ahead of it. Combined no-hitter number 4, as we mentioned, for Dan's April 29th, 2022. Then for my number 3, I had the Rangers beating the Penguins, that great win we talked about before. For number 2, I had the Mets clinching the playoffs. And number 1, I had the Rangers beating the Hurricanes. So for us, I kind of flip-flopped our top 2. And the only reason I went with, if the Mets had won the World Series, maybe the clinching the playoffs would have meant more to me, or winning the division. If it was the Mets clinching the division, that probably would have been a number 1 for me. But I did put it above the Rangers beating the Penguins because that was just a first round series. And even though it was a big win, it still was a first round. I felt the Mets playoffs was right above that. And because that Rangers Game 7 win beat Carolina and sent them to the Eastern Conference Final, for me, I felt that was the number 1 moment. But hey, it's just opinion at that point, right?
This Carlos Correa drama. I'm excited. I was excited that we got Correa, and then I heard they're still trying to sort out all this thing with the physical and all this drama and little things structuring the contract. Well, something like I have confidence Steve Cohen is going to get this done, but leave it to the Mets to have a moment that's going to go in our favor, but is not going to go in our favor without near heart attack, as far as I see. And I thought by today we'd be talking about we'd say it's official. Like I may have watched a press conference or something on SNY. I literally, and now I'm still clicking on unexpectedly over Correa, constantly hitting the refresh button. There'll probably be more news of talks because there was a little bit of a break because of the holidays, but hopefully Steve Cohen is back on the horse and we get this done. It's like crazy. I do not want to. I hope I'm not I ended disappointment, but I just got my fingers crossed. Correa's we're gonna get this done because we need that bat.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. I think Steve Cohen was 100% correct when he said that we were 1 bat short, and this guy puts us over the top. I think when news first broke of the Mets, agreeing to this deal with Correa, that was a quote directly attached to Cohen, and Correa following it. So, I think there's a lot of things that go into this right now. Now, obviously, the Giants are having a tough offseason, but the Giants are a well-respected organization that have won championships in recent years. Actually, I guess not that recent, last one being 2014. But still, This is a team that won 107 games a couple of years ago. This is a team that has a championship pedigree and that's well respected around baseball. And for them to back out of this Correa deal, there had to be something big. You know, a lot of people were attributing it to maybe cold feet on the Giants' part, maybe even cold feet on Correa's part. I don't think that was it. I think the Giants were scared off by something they saw in this injury, you know, this medical history they've had a chance to look at, which is why it's a little surprising to me that the Mets were seemingly so caught off guard by it. I mean, you know, the Giants have good doctors too. So, but look, the fact of the matter is the Mets pounced, the Mets got Correa done, and now I think what they're just trying to do is just trying to protect themselves. And, you know, even though I said that they were caught off guard, I don't think they're necessarily caught off guard so much as I think that they were just trying to slow it down now, because they know there are certain things they're going to have to do to add into this contract that I know Correa and Boris probably don't want added, but the Mets are going to have to add protections for themselves. And the fact of the matter is that's why this is, you know, no news is coming out, because there's no news to give, but no news is good news in this situation too, because once you start hearing things leak out, that's when you know a deal is going to fall through. That's exactly what happened with Correa and the Giants. All of a sudden you hear, hey, you know, the Giants have a couple of concerns with Correa's medical history. Then the next thing you know, oh, they're canceling a press conference. After that, deal's done and he's going to the freaking Mets. You know, right now, we're not hearing anything like that. We're not hearing, all we heard is that the Mets had concerns with his medicals, which everybody knew was going to be the case. We don't know what their concerns were. We don't know what the injury that is, you know, is it the 2014 injury to his leg? Is it his back? You know, is it his shoulder? There are a couple of things that have been wrong with Correa over the years, and a couple of teams seem to be taking issue with different things. So let's just, it's all the waiting game right now, right? And that's the thing that sucks about it, is that, you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed and we're pretty sure that Carlos Correa is going to be a Met, but you can't 100% count on it until the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and he's being introduced in that press conference, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling the Mets will be if we sign Correa, we'll be in good shape. We'll have good, you know, good little backup. I'm here. Hopefully it'll work out with the Beatty potentially being a fourth outfielder, I heard. Also, I have to say, one of the reasons why I think the Correa deal is going to work better with the Mets than it did with San Francisco, for one thing, it seems Correa seems to want to play here. So that I feel is going to maybe go in the Mets' favor. Yeah. Also, Owen is not going to want to fail with this deal.
Yeah, there's a mutual interest in getting this deal done. And I know, look, at this point, people listening to this podcast, you've probably heard this analysis 1,000 times before, and I'm sorry if you have, but it just has to be said if people haven't heard it. Look, the reality of the situation is the Giants backed out of giving Correa a 13-year, $350 million deal. He came back to the Mets and agreed to a 12-year, $315 million deal. That means Correa effectively gave up 1 year and $35 million. That's a pretty big step back on a contract right there. You know, that's pretty much the difference between the Twins offering him a 10-year deal at $280 million. That's the same difference between the Mets deal and the Twins, between the reported deal with the Giants and the Mets. So there's a pretty big gap. And the fact of the matter is that if the Mets and Giants both back out of deals that big for him, he's not getting another $300 million contract. There's no way that's happening. So he has every reason to try to drag this process across the finish line and get this deal done with the Mets, because now, especially if Steve Cohen, who's been spending money like a madman this offseason, backs out of giving him a deal, no other team is going to feel comfortable doing it. So he has every reason to get it done. And also one more reason why Steve Cohen has it done, he also has a major incentive to get it done, is because he's also opened himself to the possibility of having a grievance filed against him by Carlos Correa and Scott Boras, because he already commented on this deal and this player before the negotiations even played out. So that's why Major League Baseball always, directs these owners and GMs and club representatives to not comment on a deal until it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And Steve Cohen opened himself up to that. So I know it wouldn't be gigantic. They might not even win the grievance. Who knows? But it would be litigation that Steve Cohen wouldn't want to be involved in. So the Mets have motivation, not only on field, but like I said, just off the field, and also Correa, like we mentioned. So, Dan, you're great at putting percentages on things. What would you say the percentage is that this Correa deal gets done to the Mets?
I feel like this is going to be a 90% chance this deal gets done.
Wow, that's pretty high percentage, man. And a couple of days ago, someone involved in the situation came out and said that it was at 55%. But to be honest, man, I lean more towards you. I think that it's going to be. I think he will be a Met, and I do. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm going to go with your 90 because, or hey, even if it's somewhere in between 55 and 90, we're still doing good. I think this deal gets done. There's every motivation on both sides to complete it. So let's just hope it gets done. And then, hey, the Mets have the best infield in baseball by far, right?
Yep, exactly. I'm hoping this goes in our favor. I'm gonna be probably hitting the refresh button a lot, and probably as always closing my evening watching Sports Night on SNY.
Yeah, man, no doubt about it. Let's hope they slam this deal shut. And before we get out of here, too, I did want to touch on a little hockey. Real tough loss for our Rangers last night, man. 4-0. Gallant ripped them to the media and then had them doing bag skates after. Really just uninspired play after a really nice win against the Islanders before the holiday break. What are your feelings on the Rangers right now, man? I mean, because that was an ugly loss last night.
I feel this is a better team than what we saw last night. I mean, I feel no doubt about it. This team will be angry from this loss and bounce back. I think Alon got this team in line after that loss, and hopefully we can put this loss back and let's just forget this one happened, because it was the worst 2.5 hours I spent in this season.
Yeah, it was ugly, man. It was ugly. They got nothing going.
If there's any times that there's 2.5 hours of my life I wish I could have back, it's that one. What I watched, I mean, that little GIF you may have saw me post. I used a screen cap from an episode of one of my favorite TV shows, Mystery Science Theater 3000. It stinks. A little funny. If you've seen the show, you probably get the reference. But yeah, it was like that bad. I mean, and it was that bad that I could have used one or two GIFs. That one, and of course, the classic. If you remember a show called The Critic, I don't know if you remember that show.
I remember it with John Lovitz. That was great.
It stinks.
It stinks.
That was definitely that show should have gotten more should have gotten more seasons. As a matter of fact, I'm shocked that no network has or anything has acquired the rights to show that in reruns, because part of me kind of feels like Adult Swim could pick up the rights to that one.
That's true, and you never see that show played anywhere. So
yeah, I remember a couple of years ago I would find reruns of it on Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people got to notice that show after its run.
Yeah, I used to love that show, man. That was hilarious.
The one that Adult Swim I feel really made me notice about but that's probably on the part of Kevin Smith and stuff, not the show ending up on the wrong TV network. Remember that Clerks animated series? Adult Swim aired every episode of that. I was wondering, I never even knew there was a Clerks animated series, and apparently, I thought I enjoyed it. It was pretty well done, but Kevin Smith made the wrong decision. Should have had that show, I mean, on Adult Swim or something like
Well, that show actually came out before Adult Swim was even around. I remember I actually had that show, all 6 episodes. There's only 6 episodes ever made. I actually had that show on VHS. It came out like around 2000, I want to say. And then it was on ABC and got discontinued. And just after that, you never saw it again until they played it on TV a couple of years ago, like you said.
Yeah, that's how much little I knew of this show during its original run. They just put it on it, but unfortunately, because of the decision he made to put it on that network, if only Kevin Smith waited a couple more years for Adult Swim, I might have still been. They may have had a lot more episodes, I think.
Absolutely, I think you're right. Adult Swim would have been perfect for that cartoon, and it's so funny that that we just got started talking about this, man. That was a good cartoon too. I like that show a lot. That was very funny.
Buy a couple of snacks from that. I don't know what they call them in bodegas in New Jersey. It was like more of a convenience store kind of thing. But during a trip to New Jersey, I once went to that convenience store.
Oh man, yeah, definitely very cool.
I had to go to that convenience store at least once.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's like going to Mecca.
If you make a trip to the New York area, to New York City, maybe you might want to rent a car, take a little drive to New Jersey, and go to that store.
Oh man, gotta love the quick stop. But
exactly.
Yeah. So now the Rangers tomorrow are going to be in Tampa Bay for a rematch for that Eastern Conference final that me and you both referenced on our top 10 lists. That's going to be a big game tomorrow, man. How you feeling about that?
I feel like the Rangers are going to win this. The people I call the fans of a New York team that are in South Florida, I call them the Six Borough Club. Six Borough Club will make their presence known in Tampa, and the Rangers will win in front of the Six Borough Club.
Hell yeah, and the Six Borough Club will have 2 opportunities to catch the Rangers this weekend as their, I guess a little bit extended weekend, as the Rangers play on Thursday in Tampa Bay, and on New Year's Day, the Rangers play on in Florida, at the Panthers arena, which I've been to, actually, a very nice arena, and in a very odd scheduling, by the NHL. I know me and you discussed it on the show earlier this year, which actually you raised the question. Very weird that the Rangers are playing on New Year's Day and it's not, just having the Winter Classic as the only game that day.
Yeah, this one's a bit odd. There's 2 little NHL oddities that surprised me. One, the Winter Classic not being the only game happening on New Year's Day. The other, the matchup, which I probably the Red Sox owner had a hand in that matchup, because the reason why the visiting team is the Penguins. It's probably not also because remember how I was always criticizing Gary Bettman on that matchup decision. Apparently, it probably was because the owner of the Red Sox owns the Penguins. Why the Penguins were the visiting team? I found someone in Boston pointed it out to me that the owner of the Red Sox owns the Penguins, where the venue where the Winter Classic's going to be, Fenway. So, and that's why the visiting team's the Penguins apparently. But 2 little things that kind of surprised me about the New Year's Day this year.
Yeah, it makes sense. Just like you said, when you put 2 and 2 together, that he's the owner and he's also a part owner, so of the Penguins. So it definitely adds up that they had a hand in selecting the team. Would have definitely made more sense to have a team like the Rangers in it, like you mentioned, because not only that, not only are the Rangers a big brand team, they have young, talented players that you can really talk about now. Everybody knows who Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and all these guys are,
That it's just the classic rivalry, Rangers Bruins. I mean, I'm sure I would have invited you on that trip to Boston for that.
Absolutely. That would have been awesome.
Yet again, attended an outdoor game, bundled up, and then probably maybe kicking back a few beers in Landau Street at a bar Fenway right after the game, because I can tell you that I figured probably wasn't a good idea to really be drinking outside the cold weather, because I hear it makes you cold faster. And
no doubt about that.
At the Winter Classic at Citi Field, when the Rangers won that overtime win, I noticed a couple. But the reason I probably made a smart decision to not really be drinking until after the game when I was at Donovan and Woodside. The beers, they were free. I saw they were freezing as soon as people opened them.
Oh yeah.
Frozen. So maybe I did that. I think I did though drink a hot chocolate during that game in a souvenir mug.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
Because I did consume hot chocolate during that game. And I think I consumed some nachos in like a hockey helmet type bowl, because I thought it was like a little unique little thing. So I did consume that during the game. And addition to souvenirs I bought, of course. Getting that nice little photo with Adam Graves was pretty cool, and getting a photo with Mike Richter was also cool before the game. They did some appearances before the game.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, no doubt about that. You gotta love when they bring those 94 guys out, and hey, let's just hope that we're this much closer to getting the next championship for the Rangers, right?
And that was cool getting those autographs to my added to my collection, to guys that were just forever a part of such great memories, and whose both their respective numbers are hanging forever in the rafters of the Garden.
That's true. It's true. Two of the all-time greats. No doubt about that, man. And as a matter of fact, Dan, you're one of the all-time greats. So we're about to get out of here. So why don't you give yourself a couple of plugs before we hit the road?
Sure, definitely. You can follow me, Twitter, Bobo103NYC, Instagram, Bobo718DK, and YouTube, Daniel Kurlan.
There you go. Make sure to follow Dan there and like him and subscribe to his page. Always a lot of fun stuff coming out of there. You can also subscribe to our page on YouTube at Best Seat in the House, Best Seat in the House Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at BSIF_podcast, and follow me on Twitter also if you want. My last name, Cramer, NY. So thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in and checking this out. And you know what? Because this is the New Year's show, let's not forget this is a New Year's celebration.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. Happy New Year to everybody watching this. Let's count down from 10. Just like, I mean, it's going to feel like we're ending the Chip Chipperson show, really. But let's just count down from 10, end it with a Happy New Year, and then we'll get out of here, all right?
Try to. Let's see if you can pick up on this little classic O&A reference at the end. You'll know what I'm talking about when I get to it. Right.
Well, whatever it is, just don't say Chippy Kaye, Father Mucker.
Right, don't want that, but it's a deep cut, but you'll know it.
Okay. All right. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us through 2022. We hope that you'll catch us and enjoy the show in 2023 as well. And for Rob Cramer and Daniel Bobo Kurlan, this is the Best Seat in the House podcast, and we'll catch you next year, everybody.